Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. It's been a while, but once again I'm joined by my good friend Tom. How are you,
Whoa,
Tom?
whoa, whoa, whoa. Nathan, it's my episode today.
Of
You know,
course,
I'm the anime guy.
of
So,
course.
hello and welcome to another episode of the Negative Filmmaking Podcast, hosted by me today, Thomas Jackson, and my very special guest, Nathan.
Hello, I'm new to the channel, so please be nice to me.
No, everyone, insult him in the comments.
Before we get into the video, obviously we're in a lockdown currently, so firstly, the first thing you might notice is the audio. Our mics are probably not up to the level you've heard in the past. We're both at home recording. Equally, if there's any kind of non-soundproofing, so we usually record in a soundproof studio. That's why. So just apologies for that, and hopefully we'll be back in the studio soon. Also, looking from editing it now, there's a bit of static in my mic. I've tried to fix it as best as I can, but it is still present. Hopefully you can still watch it, but apologies for that as well. It's a bit of a shit show at the moment, but hopefully we can get through it together.
So yeah, today we are going to be talking about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's going to be part of a series. Each episode, we're going to milk this for as much as we can,
Absolutely.
and do an episode per arc. I was going to say season, but we're doing anime now, so it's arc. Today's going to be Phantom Blood, the very first one with Joseph Joestar as our titular character.
It's Jonathan. Fucking loser.
Yes, it is. Never mind. There's too many. There's too many. Too many J's.
This is going to be your episode.
I know it's supposed to be my episode. I'm supposed to be the one that knows everything.
Oh yeah.
There's too many. I even have all the books. Well, for the first two arcs and half of the third.
Well, Tom's the one who recommended the series to me, and that's kind of why he's taking the reins a bit. He claims to be the resident expert, but we'll see how we get on. He's already tripped up once.
Well, I know the side character's name, so it's fine. We'll just refer to him as JoJo from now on.
Yeah.
We can't, that's all. Yeah, so we'll go through a little breakdown of the series, a bit of a spoiler-free one. You know, if people are still interested in starting this out. So you've got the two main characters, Dio and Jonathan.
Yeah.
I've said that right there.
Yep.
Yeah, I did say that one right this time. So Jonathan is the plucky underdog, always going to give it my best, where Dio is the smart, basically God's gift at the earth. And that's how he thinks of himself. He genuinely is named after God.
Yep.
Also, in our own world, in the real world, he's named after the singer as well as a famous actor. So Dio goes about his life, goes about trying to dismantle the Joestar family, remove the father and remove the son, and become the sole inheritor of the Joestar estate and become this rich, powerful man. And it's up to JoJo to stop him.
Yeah.
And things get a little bizarre, shall we say, along the way.
And it is an adventure.
Of the bizarre kind. It's really, really important that we specify that this is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of posing, and eventually, in later arcs, it does become a little gay. But
Yeah, that's cool.
For now, it's a bit cringy, to be fair, I think. But we promise it gets better.
Yeah.
This arc is quite basic compared to the other ones. It's really simple.
Yeah, I was thinking. I've rewatched it recently. I was thinking that.
Yeah,
but
it's I really enjoyed it the first time viewing because I'm like, oh, this is just a bit of a fun, light-hearted thing. It's nothing too bad. You've got and I think that's part of its charm, to be fair, because you got to think it's the very first one is still fun its beat with the series, and obviously we know from later it'll go in a completely different direction, away from vampires and Hamon or Ripple. As for the series itself, I still enjoyed it, even though I'm watching it and saying that it's not as good as the other ones. It's not because this one's bad necessarily, it's just that this one's not up to scratch compared to what's to come, especially I think for me, and I know it's not your favourite, but the second arc for me is particularly one of my favourites, and that's due to the characters, and I think that's for as much as I absolutely love the JoJo of this arc, because he's just the paragon of justice, he's brilliant in every way. He is boring at times. It's like a true gentleman would never do that, and
I think you're right.
he has no character flaws because he was supposed to, and that was partly by design because he didn't want the author, spoke multiple times that he knew from the very start. Spoilers here for now, going into actual spoiler territory. So you might want to cut off if you not want to watch it. He dies at the end of it, and the artist knew that when he was writing it, he didn't actually want the audience to become too attached to the character, as he knew he wanted to die, wanted to kill him off, and he didn't want to. So he was just like, right, let's just get a boring character with an interesting story, so that we can move along to the next one, so people be interested where the story's going to go, but not necessarily the character, which I think works for me.
It's probably why it's quite a short part as well. It's 9 episodes, I think. So, and
it's 3 books if you're reading manga.
Mm-hmm.
Well, multiple chapters, 3 actual hardback books now. Obviously, this was a Shonen Jump back in the 80s. That was coming out, I think, weekly. I don't know how Shonen Jump comes out.
No, I don't.
So I'm not that much of a nerd to know when things are published. But the actual books now are you can get them free, and they're all. I think the books are slightly better at this because I think they give a bit more detail into things, like Dio's laser eyes. Do you know what they're called?
No.
It's a stingy. Let me just go grab my book and I'll find out now.
Okay.
Space Ripper Stingy Eyes.
Wow.
Is what it's called in the anime, in the manga. Sorry, and it's not lasers like they say in the anime. It's actually like just compressed eye fluid that shoots out of their eyes.
So I think a good place to start really is why you should watch the series. And for me, for someone who doesn't really watch a lot of anime, to be quite honest, or I hadn't for quite some time before I watched this, the appeal was more to be in the loop, I think. I don't want to say meme-wise because that sounds stupid, but internet culture-wise, you get a lot of advantages by watching this, and it's much more than that. There's a lot of good payoffs throughout each part, which are connected, and there's always a moment where you get satisfied, and for the most part, it makes sense. There's also some inconsistency somewhere, which is kind of typical of an anime, so I have to allow it in some cases, but I don't think you can really compare anime to film or something like that, which we talked about before, just because there's tropes. There's built-in characters and stuff, like Speedwagon in the first part, who is just an exposition machine, which is obviously in film that would probably be frowned upon, but it just works in anime because, I mean, some of the explanations are needed.
The narrator would just reappear and disappear, and he'd sort of give things that like, ooh, what is Dio doing right now?
Yeah.
And that's in the manga's case would be like, never pronounce his name. Weirdly enough, I don't speak Araki. Weirdly enough, I don't speak Japanese, and it's a Japanese name. So, the writer, it's like his voice. It's not like a character itself. It's him just explaining what's going on. Whereas Speedwagon does explain it from a character's perspective.
Wow, nice cock.
It's like in the later books, it literally says like. Writer's note, and it's him just saying, by the way, this is a really normal thing in the rest of the world, but just not in Japan, type of thing.
Really?
So he'll explain sort of in Act 3 when they're traveling around the world. So skipping ahead a bit.
Spoiler alert for Act 3.
Yeah, say they go to a place where it's sort of a food that's not really typical of Japan.
Yeah.
And obviously. The time period, it's not as like world, like, it's not as like imports aren't the same, so we're not like
Mhm.
open to the same, like some of that could be quite common now, like a kebab.
Yeah, I remember.
Maybe for Japan in the 80s won't be the same thing, but obviously he's done this world travel and done his research and he knows what's going on, so he has to just do a writer's note as like being, hi, Akira here, this is a thing in Egypt and it's really normal, don't worry, it's not just something made up.
Yeah,
that
happens a lot in Part 3 actually.
Yeah,
For the most.
like the chilled coconut milk and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to Arc 1 then.
Yeah.
Act 1.
So what?
Act 1?
Rewatching it, Tom, what are the things you didn't particularly like? We'll start with dislikes first.
So yeah, I guess Jonathan's just sort of like, I've done it again. No, I haven't. It's Jonathan.
He's losing.
JoJo's like blandness. Have you rewatched have you seen the rugby part of episode 2?
Yes.
Where all of a sudden they're like huge.
Yeah.
I think they're leaving high school at this time, I think. So for like non-UK viewers, this to be like them being 16. And they're like, Jonathan anyway is like JoJo, he's like 6'4" and he's like looks like the mountain and like from Game of Thrones. And he's just absolutely huge. And this is supposed to be like a 16-year-old in his lair going like carrying like it wouldn't be as weird. It's just that no one else around them looks like that.
No.
So he's like carrying like not even his dad looks like that. So it's not even like genetics. Like he's on some Victorian roids.
Yes.
And he's there carrying 4 people on his back, and this is like when Dio's like best friends and stuff. And then you've got the person who's narrating the rugby game, like announcing the rugby game. I don't know if you ever went to like a high school that played rugby.
No,
but I did. There was never a commentator who commentated over the rugby games who'd be there going and know every single little detail about the player as well. He's like,
yeah, that's just
these are both.
Another element of just exposition that you have to kind of accept.
It just, I don't know, for some reason this just felt really bizarre. Like, it just felt really weird. Like juxtaposition. I don't think the time jump quite works. I think there maybe should have been like a development of Dio trying to win over Jonathan trust as they grew up. Like you see snippets of Dio being like hot and cold with him, and eventually gaining his trust. But then secretly JoJo's like still doesn't trust him because he put Danny in the fire.
Oh, poor Danny.
Yeah. Another thing about the books, you actually see Danny on fire.
Oh Christ! I don't think I can go through that.
It goes quite into detail. You see like quite a high detail drawing of the dog on fire. It's not great. Another thing, I don't know, you'll probably feel the same, but the dub has the I watch it on Crunchyroll, so that I don't, on Crunchyroll you don't actually get the option of the dub, so I was always watching the sub.
Yeah.
But then when you told me like, oh, you watched it in dub, I thought, all right, I'll give it a go. So that like we're on the same sort of footing.
I've seen both of them.
Yeah, and like, oh god, the voice acting like irked me a lot. Just a Chadioho cham.
It's so funny. It makes it honestly the dub makes it 10 times better on this one, just because, especially Speedwagon, he's the best. He's just speaking in like Cockney. It's just it's like an American doing Cockney. It's so funny.
Speedwagon is the best thing.
He's my favourite.
He's there, like, it's like, oh, like I have no powers, but I have really hot abs. I don't think. I don't think that's even.
He forgets his hat as well. He forgets his hat, which has like razor blades on it, which is actually a weapon. But then he never puts his hat back on. It really annoys me because he could have done something really cool with his hat.
With his hat juggling powers.
Deal with his hat.
Oh yeah, like could have infused the wool with hammer, and then that went into the knife that killed Dio.
Exactly.
Mm. I think another easily second best character for me. Oh well, second best good character, because I think the best character of the show is Dio.
Yeah.
But we'll go into him later. That we'll stick to the good guys for now. But like the second best good guy is Zeppeli.
Yeah.
By far, he's just a bit of a dick, but at the same time not. He's just like, well, yeah, let's chat some shit about Vikings. Now go fight Jack the Ripper.
I just watched the episode where he dies, and I forgot how brutal his death is. His death is so brutal; he gets cut in half. That's a good episode as well.
Oh yeah, like the stuff about I always feel really bad about the knights. You know, Blueford especially.
Yeah.
Did he go into detail about how the knights got strong? By the way, in the anime, I can't remember.
They talk about Mary Stuart.
Well, in the manga, they go into detail of how like they trained.
I'm not
and
sure
it was
they
like
do.
this.
I can't remember.
They do like a ring challenge where they have to run like so many miles, and every mile they'll pick up a ring that weighs 1 kilogram.
Mm-hmm.
So say they run 100 miles, and for every mile they pick up a kilogram. So by the last mile, they carry 99 kilograms with them as they run.
Yeah.
And and it's just really brutal training, and it's like the actual strong knight. Again, the name escapes me.
Taurus.
Taurus.
Yeah.
Yes, I thought it was both these, but I'm like, no, it's not. I was thinking Boris. Taurus. He's like he did it through just like brute strength, whereas Blueford did it through technique.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just like, it just sort of puts them like more of like a threat, if you know what I mean. It's not just like, oh, these are some old knights that were good. It's like, here's the training they went through. And I think almost like if the manga was rushed to like get it to the end, I think the anime was even more rushed to get it to the end so they could get to the cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's far too short.
And that was like a bit of a shame on their part. Like, it's a bit of a shame because there is a bit of things like miss, but nothing like major. It's just sort of little character things that could be really nice.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's like there's more like it goes into detail about how like actual things worked in the fight as well in the manga. So you got like the trapped air underneath when he's fighting Blueford, and he's got the air in the underneath the
water
rock.
Yeah.
And just they go into detail of how that's a scientific thing that happens, but usually it's not really sound science. It's just something that the writer heard once that goes, oh, that sounds possible. Okay, I'll add that to my mind. So it's quite funny at times, but still.
Yeah.
What about you? Is there anything that actually stands out about things you dislike? And we went away from that.
Well, things I dislike, I do agree. I think it's a bit rushed, especially the kind of training as well. There's a flash forward of a week between when he meets Zeppeli and when he goes to fight, or when he stumbles upon Dio and Blueford and whatever.
Well, so that's not covered here either. It's just sort of like,
yeah, it must be bloody good to go for a week.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, no, I think it's a really good entry point. As you say, I don't think it's the best or my favourite part, but as an entry, I think it's really strong, and I think it's not too much and not too little, really.
I think you might disagree with this based off like what I know about future arcs. I won't say which one, but for me, this is my least favourite. It's just because it's like, not the best. it's just there.
I think I'd agree with you. I think it's close. I don't think it's bad by saying this, but I think it probably is. I'm sure for some people it's their favourite because it's a nice entry point and everything's established well.
I think each arc has their like each arc could be someone's favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure when we've done it all, we can have a kind of discussion about that.
It's like each arc, like I think, like in each JoJo, sorry, is going to be someone's favorite. Like if you want someone who's like a paragon of justice and is like amazing in every way, you're gonna like this JoJo. But if you like someone who's a bit more flawed, you're not going to. I know, because I talked about JoJo a lot for uni and stuff. You probably already knew about the twist at the end of this season. But were you surprised at all when JoJo died?
I have to look back on it, but I literally watched that episode yesterday. I rewatched, I mean. And when I was rewatching it, I rewatched it knowing that Theo was alive. But I don't think I put two and two together. It seems really obvious. But I just presumed he was dead on that episode, so it probably was a surprise actually. But I knew there was one more episode of that part, which is probably the reason why I was expecting something as a finale. But I think it was a surprise.
Because I know, me coming into it, I was like, what? Like, because, I had I found out of JoJo through a channel called Drawfee, where they did I think they just did other characters in the style of JoJo. And it was just people posing or something like that. Or they just did something to do with JoJo, and that's how I found out about it. So I thought, oh yeah, I'll give it a go. And they mostly just talked about the posing aspect and how it's all like, it was just good. So it's like, they didn't even go into the detail of like how the story works. So I just thought, you know what, I like these guys, I'll give it a go. And it quickly became my favourite anime, probably modern one. I'm not too sure if it is like the favourite, but it's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
I feel like Bizzare would probably be my favourite if you actually got a decent anime adaptation, but one day.
That's maybe this. Me and Tom have toyed with the idea of doing like a Tom recommends anime, so maybe we'll get through Berserk and some other ones that Tom's recommended, or maybe not so good ones that Tom's recommended that we can tear apart.
Yeah.
That's my idea for the future.
Coming into the next one, I was like, I hate this JoJo. He's not a gentleman.
Yeah, that always happens actually. When you're first introduced to a new one, you kind of think, well, this isn't as good as the last one, and then you're like, and same with like the side characters. You're like, well, I'm never gonna like these guys, and then they grow on you, which is weird.
Old man speed model.
Of course.
We have not talked about Dio.
Of course.
Dio, best like villain of all JoJo, I think. And I know we get more time with him compared to others, so he has more time to develop. But if anything, that just shows how good he is.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, let's bring him back, and now let's bring him back, but this time he's a dinosaur. And each time it feels like every villain since then has just been like a different variation of Dio in some respects. Like even Cars, like in the next one, he's like not got the honorable side of Dio or Cars is just like, I just want to be the best.
Yeah, there's always almost some elements of Dio throughout the whole series, and he's always talked about with him in each part.
For if he needed to develop his hero more after this one, what he definitely didn't need to do was develop the villain more. Is how he's characterized villain. Like he basically hit the nail on the head with this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is my favorite by far. Like especially going into like art-free spoilers for that one, I guess.
Yeah, I'll put a flash on the screen. Oh, I should have anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you didn't, then like just yes, Dio's good. Like just that how he's come from a different background with Jonathan, and he just wants to. I'm just gonna say Joe. I need to just keep saying it is. God damn it! What's wrong with me? And now he's come from this different background, and he just goes, "Yeah, well, I'm just going to take it for everything you were, and then you're dead, and I'm going to carry on and be the best."
Yeah.
Yeah, Dio is just like this calculating. He's like, he's not like a dick for no reason. Like he's come from nothing, and he doesn't want to go back to nothing. He doesn't. He wants to prove that he's better than his father as well. His father is like a dick. Just a horrible piece of scum.
Yeah.
Like the one person that Dio was like through his life was his mom, and like he blames his father for the death of his mom, abusing with him, and it's like, well, I'm going to kill you now.
Yeah, I think you kind of empathise with him at the beginning already, and you kind of, because we see his backstory, we see where he's come from, and the characters would kind of don't really know what to feel towards him. Maybe less so because it's a bit more rushed, but if we had more time, like you said, we might have got to know him a bit better in this part.
Maybe he could have tricked us as well, watching it.
Wow.
Because they could have thought, oh no, he's spending time with JoJo and he's become a gentleman like him. It's like, no, he's just been diddling us from the start.
Yeah, he's kind of he's becoming good, kind of thing. He's kind of fallen into his role, into the family.
So overall, sort of closing feelings about JoJo. What you thinking?
I think I really would recommend it to anyone, particularly anyone who doesn't really watch anime a lot. I think really it's quite an easy entry point, really, especially with it's a wider range, wide availability of dubs as well. So if you are a bit concerned,
just on Netflix,
it's literally on Netflix. Yeah,
you can just pick that up and watch that now. You don't even have to sign up to Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll is free if you watch the adverts, but the adverts are extremely long on that.
Yeah.
And even then, it's probably all on YouTube anyway. But yeah, I know I've watched it a couple of times just off YouTube in the background noise because I can't be bothered. Just for ambiance, so I'm not lonely. Yeah, it's not an overly anime.
No.
Like you've not got anyone, because there's a girl who's got big boobs, all of a sudden they've got a nosebleed and it launches them into the air or something like that. You're not going to be embarrassed when your mum walks in.
Well, there are occasions when that happens, but for the most part, it's not that naughty.
No. You've got the little bit at the start who goes, you've got the two bullies that are bullying Irina. It's like, let's see if we take off the clothes and it's got all the girly bits.
God.
Like, oh god! I think the bit that makes that worse is just the accents.
Yeah, the dub is funny. The dub isn't good. It's a funny watch.
Funny. Like I'd say watch the dub, but if you are up for reading subtitles, the subs are a lot better.
Yeah, of course. But the dub is widely available for most parts.
Ah, yeah.
So you haven't really got an excuse if you're not interested. You could just watch it as a cartoon rather than anime. But I think with each part, it gets better. I think for me at least, with each part it gets better. So you just grow on you. This one's a bit slow to start with, but I think if you you'll get invested quite quickly, and before you know it, you'll be through them all.
So I think you were watching it as you were doing your exam, like finishing off your uni degree.
Yeah.
So you just sort of had it on the background, and even then you were still getting through it quite quickly.
Yeah.
You should have been focusing on your degree.
We'll see when our results come back. I prioritised it too much.
We're blaming the teachers there. Yeah, I was going to say, sorry for this episode, feels a bit more disjointed and a bit more rambly than normal, but still getting used to not really seeing each other. So.
Yeah, because I can usually give Tom the eyes to tell him to shut up, but I can't through Discord.
You can just cut me. You can just cut me down.
But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for joining me as well, Tom.
Yeah. Thank you for coming to my show.
Oh yeah, of course, it's your show. In that case, you can do the outro.
Alright, well, thank you for watching. Please comment, subscribe, tell us why we're wrong.
Yep.
Tell us why we're right, and stroke our wisdom as we believe. We can talk about how amazing Dio is, and how Speedwagon is your waifu too. And if not, tell us anyway. we'll have a little chat and discuss what. So go on.
So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.